Okay, guys, we're going to talk about another very important metric to know about if you're dealing with real estate investors, and that is cash on cash return. It's one of my favorite metrics to use as a real estate investor, and it's something you should know about if you're dealing with that type of client. So, in a nutshell, cash on cash return basically means how much cash did I put into the deal and how much money am I getting back? What is my cash on cash return, right? So think about like cash into the deal is your down payment, your closing costs, your repairs. Maybe it was vacant for 3 months. You had to pay the mortgage, so like your carrying costs. All those things are the cash that you've put into the deal. And then your return on investment is simply once the asset is stabilized, again, what's my rent? If you have a mortgage, what's my mortgage payment? What's the property taxes? What's the insurance? What's my maintenance budget? If you have property management, what's my property management budget? Okay, this is my return. So to give you like a real easy example, let's say you put $60,000 down on a property, you have another $10,000 in closing costs, and then you have to fix up the property a little bit and you spend $30,000 doing that. So you've spent $100,000 of your own cash to put into the property. Once it's stable, you have renters, you do the formula I just explained, you make $10,000 a year. $10,000 into $100,000 is 10%. So your cash on cash return in that example would be 10%. So this is important to do because when you're evaluating properties, a lot of people get like really excited, like, man, I'm gonna renovate everything, I'm gonna gut this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna add that. And that's nice, but then like you add up how much money you've spent and then you try to project, okay, well, what can I rent it for? Like what would be my projected cash on cash return? It might be like 4%. You're like, I don't know if I want to spend all that money to make 4%. So cash on cash return is very important because it helps kind of, at least with me especially, like helps you rein in expectations. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't get carried away with this. And conversely, it can be very good because in a way, it almost kind of helps. It's like having a budget helps you stick to a budget. Like, listen, this is how much money we're putting into this deal. This is how much money we have to get out of it. This is what my return has to be. So, in that respect, cash on cash return is very important to know. Number one for me is cap rate, because if the cap rate stinks and it's really low, then you might not really care to evaluate cash on cash return. But there's a lot of different ways to evaluate a property, because you also have to keep in mind, like, maybe when you are spending all this money, maybe you're gonna have the property appreciate, and that's something called return on equity. So there's a lot of, that could be for another video, there's a lot of different ways to evaluate a property, but basically knowing what your return on investment in the property, that's vital to know. So when you're an agent and you're trying to talk to your client about those things, very important to know that, so you could help give your client good guidance on real estate investing.